Hi, I'm Samantha Varner, and this is the She Needs Grit podcast, the show where I dig into how to prioritize profit in your business and build an empire using grit and strategy and doing it in a simple, no BS kind of way. Let's get started. Hello. I am back for another episode today of She Needs Grit. I am your host, Samantha Varner, and I am thrilled to be here. I am going to talk to you all about tools I use in my business and encourage you to expand the horizons of what you're currently using and maybe evaluate whether the tools you're using are too many, whether they suit your purpose, whether you've taken the time to get to know how to use them to the very maximum. And I promise you that is something that is on my list of things to do, not something I'm going to tell you that I do well myself. But what I really think is important as business owners, and as we are moving into a stage where you are growing from your beginning 6 figures right through to mid and 7-figure businesses, you need the utility piece of your business to be ironed out. And the only way to do that is trial and error. As you know, as an entrepreneur and a business owner, we start businesses and we screw things up, or we try a thing and we don't do it very well, or we have a system that works and then it doesn't work because your clientele has changed or because the way that you operate your business has changed. And one of the things I'll touch on today is how many different things I have moved through over the course of my business. I'm now going into my 4th year of business as a profit coach. And so I've had a lot of opportunity to try different things. And let me tell you, I'm a little bit of a dabbler, a little bit of a DIY kind of gal, although I am working very hard to train myself out of that. So as a result, I have done tons of this, right? I have tried tools. I have abandoned tools. I have started new tools and abandoned those tools, all that sort of thing. And it's normal. I want you're sitting there, you're driving your car, right? And you're thinking, oh shit, yeah, I don't have a tool for this, or I keep meaning to do that, or I'm getting swamped with the work that I have and I don't have time to figure out how to do it properly. That's all normal. And arguably, no matter how big your business gets, that will continue. So let's, instead of feeling shitty about it, let's just embrace the fact that that's the nature of business. There are always new tools and technology coming out, and it's important for us to embrace those when they're appropriate, not jump necessarily on bandwagons just because, and then evaluate, most importantly, what is the biggest thing I think is important in your business in pretty much all facets is the evaluation phase. Does it actually do what you need it to do? And do you love using it? Is it something that you use or something that just lies dormant on your computer? If it's dormant, take it off. You don't use it and find another method. Okay, let's dive in. I'm so excited about this today, which is so geeky of me. And I hope you'll join me for this part of things. I hope you're excited to hear a little peek into what are other people doing? How are they doing it? Wait, I hadn't heard of that. Let's go on this journey together today. And I will tell you how many do I have? I have 6 on here that I'm going to talk to you about. And I have a big ask, big ask. I want to hear what tools you're using in your business. So if you'll do me a huge favor, send me an email. I want to start a conversation about this. So my email address is sam@shecollective.biz. Send me an email and tell me, yeah, I use those too. They're great. Or I don't use those. Why do you love them? I will get in more depth. If you have questions, please bring them to me. And even more importantly, if you have tools that aren't mentioned on this podcast today, share them with me. I'm super excited to be able to share those with my clients as they're going through the growth stages in their business. And honestly, for my own self, the more resources I know about and have access to, the more helpful I can be out in the world, creating connections, creating information for people to learn from. So get off this podcast when you're done today. Be inspired. Send me an email. Let's start a conversation, okay? Let's get started first with, I'm going to start with Slack, okay? So Slack is, and listen, I have done no technical details. I do not get paid by any of these guys. I do have a couple of affiliate codes that I've generated for this episode, just so you guys can actually try some of these things out if you're interested, but it doesn't matter if you use that code or not. So I'm not going to give you the boilerplate from the company website. In fact, I have 4 bullet points here and that's it. So I'm going to tell you dirty and raw what I think of these things. Slack is a messaging channel that I use with my clients. And what that does is allows us to put in there, I put in client notes. So we'll have a client session, we'll have a conversation. I will plunk in there the summary of our conversation, outstanding things that they might be working on, suggestions I have in terms of anything that they're working on, that goes in there. And it's a dialogue between myself and that independent client. They're able to go in there. We have multiple messages. Let's say it's like message streams. And I'm sure it's called something different for Slack technically, but let's just say. So for my clients, I have coaching notes, I have needs coaching, and then I have celebrations. And so the client is able to go in from their end and put in the celebration. What have they done? What achievement has happened? What big badassery are they doing in their business right now that they want me to know about? So I can collect those celebrations. Also, if they need coaching, if there's something that they're struggling with or that is coming up for them in between our sessions, they can pop it right in there and then I can get back to them. And it's a dialogue back and forth. I have a channel for each one of my clients. So these are all separate and all private for my clients. They don't have access to each other's information, but I can see all of it. It keeps it very streamlined for me. I'm able to use the notifications so that it can update me if clients are updating things in there. And it just keeps us very much in touch. And I quite love it. So what Slack replaced for me was Trello. Trello is a system that I envision it, the way I described it to my clients when they were getting onboarded onto it, is kind of like a wall of sticky notes where you have particular categories of sticky notes. You can move them around, but it's a visual representation of what you're doing. And that's what I used to use for clients. So I used to have a section that was all about the client calls, a section all about work they were doing back and forth, that sort of thing. What I found was it was a little bit more meat than I needed. I really want to get into the brains of my clients more than I want it to be send me your PDF that you're working on and I can help you edit it. I obviously can do that. I do help my clients with things like that if they need it. But the reality is those are not the things that are best capable of moving you forward. It is your brain. So when I shifted from Trello to Slack, I really like it. It gives me a much more casual, very similar to our conversation sort of environment to continue and maintain that conversation over the days that they don't have coaching calls. So Slack is one that I use. I've really started loving it. Very highly recommend in terms of keeping track and keeping connection and conversation happening with your clientele. I can see this working for coaches, obviously, but I can also see this working for somebody who is a graphic designer or somebody who is a marketing agency and needs to go back and forth with clients for approvals and that sort of thing. What it really helps me do is eliminate those terrible email chains where you're like, I know somewhere in here, there is information from the client, but the hell if I can find it. We've all been there. I love Google for many reasons and my Gmail and all of that sort of thing. But for quickly keeping all of somebody's information all in one easily accessible spot, Slack does that for me. So that's number one tool. Number two tool is Honeybook. So Honeybook is a project management tool. And it's actually meant, I think the original creation was for creative entrepreneurs. So business owners that are creating something for a client, whether you're a photographer or a graphic artist or marketing branding person that's coming up with logos and that sort of thing. I think that was the nature of what it was meant to do. But what I use Honeybook for is automation. So I get somebody coming in through my contact form. You put yourself in the contact form. You want to talk to me for whatever reason. You have options on that form as to what you want to talk to me about. That allows me to evaluate and kind of like figure out what's our conversation going to be about when we get on it. So that's where Honeybook starts. What it has the ability to do is integrate an invoice, send brochures or information about your services, pre and post follow-ups with any sort of consultations you have, and it does it all automatically. You can move your client all the way through the various steps in your system, right through to pay the invoice, client project finished. So if I had a client who signed up with me for a 6-month coaching package, it allows me along the way to send emails in there if I was needing to do an email back and forth with contracts. I can send out invoices. It will also pin to the Stripe account. And the Stripe account is just where I take payments. Okay. So that's the banking side of my business. So all of those things are integrated. And what I really love about it is I can put clients in there or potential clients in there, leads, and it takes them through a path and it works through the automation piece of that. Now, do I use this to the best of its ability? I absolutely do not. I do not. But my intention for Q1 is to get HoneyBook set up with the automation even more streamlined so that emails are templated. Everything is just, I'm not writing it from scratch at the beginning. I've done bits and pieces of this, but I haven't done it in its complete hierarchy, I guess we'll say. And so that is one of my goals. But if you're looking for a place where you can store client information, do your contracts, move them along to the next step in your onboarding, the next step, the next step, the next step, HoneyBook might be a really good thing for you to take a peek at. The next tool I use is Flowdesk. Guys, I love Flowdesk. I think, to be honest, I love HoneyBook and Flowdesk to begin with. I am definitely judging the book by its cover. The emails that come out of Flowdesk are so pretty. So Flowdesk is email marketing. For those of you, I'm sure most of you are doing some level of email marketing, but if you're not, you absolutely need to. If you haven't started that yet and you just have a couple of questions about what is email marketing and why would I do that with my business, you know that email thing I talked to you earlier about? Send me an email. I can help with that. Okay, so my email marketing. So I send out an email newsletter and I do that twice a month. What I can do in Flowdesk is I can design that. I can have templates that go back so I can duplicate every time I go to do a newsletter so it looks similar. I can create from a template. They are so easy. I love tech that makes designing things super, super, super easy. I love designing things, but I'm not a designer. I am not super trained in it, but I can see what aesthetically pleases me when I'm looking at things. And that's what Flowdesk does. It allows me to do, for the most part, it's like drag and drop, really simple. And I can create beautiful, beautiful emails to go out to my email list. Obviously, you have the ability to do campaigns. You have the ability to do welcome sequences, which create automation. You have the ability to track all of that. You have the ability to segment your audience. So if you're just trying to promote something for me, sometimes what I'll do is I'm doing something local. So then I will just promote that to the email list locally, and I can specify that. It's these sorts of tools that start to make your business going from a solopreneur and moving into a scalable business where you can be aiming for that mid-6-figure, 7-figure mark in your business. But the only way you can do that is to free up your time. And this is why today I wanted to touch on these tools, because it helps you make more money. And at the end of the day, I'm a profit coach. So let's talk about how do we make more money and not lose our damn minds while we're doing it. Okay. The next tool that I'm going to talk about is something that I know a lot of people are familiar with, but I tell you, it makes my life so easy. I use Canva. Canva is a graphic design tool, and I love it. There's like a million templates. There are suggestions. There is the ability to take your Instagram post that you've created and shift the size by pressing a button into an Instagram story. It has the ability to take a blog post image and switch that size or change the colors. I'm pretty sure that I have the paid version. So the paid version allows you to save your brand colors and save your logo. So you basically have an entire branding section, which says you can go in to all of the templates and just click on your brand colors, and they will give you multiple options on what things should be what color, but it's all branded. It makes creating social media posts, creating graphics, creating PDFs, creating freebies, any sort of graphic material, it allows you to do that in-house. Now, is this a replacement for a graphic design or a branding strategist? I don't think so. I think there's something like, I can see what I like. Does it appeal to my clients? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Not sure, not trained in that. But there is a lot that you can do on your own. There are a lot of tools out there that you can use, and Canva is one of them. I really, really encourage you, if you're not yet at the point where you want to be investing in a brand strategist, and there is a time to do that. There is a time for super consistency across the board and just taking things off your plate. But if right now we're looking for a tool to help you get that done, that is an easy tool. Guys, it is an easy, fun tool to play around with if it's something that you're even moderately interested in and can do quickly. Okay, so I'm not going to coach about how we DIY stuff today, but I do want you to know these tools are available for you or for your team to make life easier. So if you don't know about Canva, go poke around in there. It's lots of fun. I love it. The last two things I'm going to talk about are kind of ridiculous. And I say that they're kind of ridiculous because I think, well, who doesn't know about this? So I use my Google Drive a lot, guys, a lot. I use Google Drive and I keep everything in there and I have it all organized. I am able to keep things and it is at the drop of a hat. I can just grab it and go, grab it and go. I'm able to see things quickly. I'm able to search for things. So when I'm working on, what have I been working on this week that I can tell you about? I've been working on my podcast one sheet. So in 2022, one of my business goals is I'm going to do some podcast guesting. So you all know me as the podcast host here, but what I'm going to do is also work on getting on other people's podcasts. So in order to do that, there is information that podcast hosts need to see. They need to know what you're about, who you are, what you want to talk about, and make sure it resonates with their audience. Because us podcast hosts want to be bringing absolute best quality. So I've been working on my podcast one sheet. And in order to do that, I am back and forth with the company I've hired to put me on podcasts. They're helping me. It's all cloud-based, right? So it's not an email attachment back and forth, but instead it's go into Google Sheets, go into Google Docs, depending on what you're looking at. And there it is. It's available for multiple people to be working on the same document without being in the same location. So I know that that sounds really basic, but what I heard the other day, I was meeting with a woman that I have been networking with, and we were just talking about various things like this. And I realized over the course of the conversation, there were 2 or 3 things she had said that I'd never heard of, and 2 or 3 things that I mentioned she didn't know about. And I realized how much of a disservice sometimes we business owners doing by not sharing the knowledge in our brains. I share a lot. I share a lot of coaching, a lot of information, but just like when my kids play sports. So those of you out there that are moms, you're going to know this feeling. All 4 of my kids have played soccer, but let's just talk about the little boys. They've played soccer, and sometimes you get a coach that forgets that the kids don't know anything. So in soccer, you have to do a throw in when the ball goes out. A kid throws the ball in. There are a couple of very important points to that throw in. Keep your feet on the ground. Put the ball all the way behind your head and throw it over your head back onto the field. This is very basic for anybody who's ever watched soccer. They know that, or at least probably could figure it out if you asked them. A little kid doesn't know because they've never seen it before. They haven't experienced that. And I think so much that we sometimes as business owners forget that there's probably little tips and tricks in the world that we could implement in our business that would make it easier. But nobody talks about those things because they seem like super easy. But I know day in and day out, I am learning new things. I am open to new technologies. I know that there's new things coming out all the time. And I also know I certainly don't know everything there is to know. So I wanted to share today with these items, and Google is one of those. Google Sheets, Google Docs. I track all of my finances for my business in Google Sheets. I know, mic drop, right? Profit Coach doesn't have a whole bunch of fancy software. Nope. Because at this point, I don't want to learn how to use the software. And I know if I implement a software, I'm going to do it half-assed. So I'm now at the point in my business where when I need to have a software, I am hiring the person that knows the software. I will hire myself somebody to do it. But in the meantime, this way works just fine for me. I'm able to generate all of my taxes. I'm able to track my revenue. I'm able to see and evaluate what's working and what's not in my business. And it is no fancier than a spreadsheet. So I just want to encourage you to evaluate what systems do you have in your business right now? Or where do you need to have a system in your business? And then explore the options without getting overwhelmed. One of the things I've learned in my business is that I am very easily persuaded that the other thing is easier, better, will make it better, all those things. So what I don't want you to take away from this today is like, I need to go and do all the things Sam does. No, don't do that. If you have something that's working for you, that's awesome. Keep it up. If you have a gap and you need help determining, here's my challenge for you. Here's my coaching moment, guys. I want you to think I'm going to give myself 25 minutes to evaluate what is out there that would solve this problem, take a cursory glance at it, and then make a decision. Don't anybody have a heart attack? Listen to this, okay? That's it. We can go down that rabbit hole of inadvertently spending 2 days in a week of only 5 days researching the new thing that we think will solve all the problems. It will not. So 25 minutes, make a decision, move on. The tool you choose will work. But wasting a week of your time going down the rabbit hole of like, what amazing, email service could I use will not serve you, and it certainly won't make you money. But getting one, using it efficiently, getting visible in front of your clients in a different way, that will make you money, I promise. So what I hope you take away from this, guys, just as a summary, is there are a lot of tools out there that will help make your business easier, more streamlined, more efficient. Take the time to look at the ones in the places you actually have pain points. Ask people you know for recommendations. Ask me what I think of the ones that I spoke about today. Share the ones that you love, and I'll make a post that kind of like includes all of the suggestions I get when this podcast drops. I will put those out onto the web so you guys can see them on my Instagram. It will be there, and you guys can reference back what those are. Otherwise, I'm going to encourage you to go out there today, make more money, and do it in the most efficient way possible. I can't wait to hear from you. I can't wait to come back and be here for the next episode. Are you ready to build your business to 6 figures? Then you need to book a profit assessment with me, Samantha Varner, Profit Coach of She Collective. Discover how working with me as your profit coach will change the trajectory of your business. Using my proprietary Crush formula, I help you identify and renovate the areas of your business that are holding you back from creating the money you know is possible. Book your call at bit.ly/profitmakercall, and let's get started. All right, that's a wrap for this week. You know that my favorite thing to do is talk shop with driven entrepreneurs building profitable businesses, which is all of you guys. I love all of the feedback that I am getting from you and the comments. Please keep them coming. Rate or review the show in your podcast player. This allows other gritty women to find this podcast and create their best business life too. As always, come and visit me on Instagram at shecollective.biz or BIZ if you're in Canada. We'll talk soon.